Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. And we are blessed today to have Brad Brondt with us today. Brad, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely. So if you wouldn't mind for the listeners, kind of bring us up to speed on like where you located in the country and a rough idea of your volume and production.
Yeah, I'm in New Jersey. Right, we're actually like right outside of Philadelphia, about 15 minutes, 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. So for those that know Jersey, there's different parts of Jersey. You have North Jersey, you have South Jersey, you have the shore. I guess I'm in what what's considered South Jersey.
Okay, cool. Excellent. And your team and roughly what your production looks like.
Yeah, so as of like year to date, we've closed. But we have about 10 million in process right now, and we've closed. It looks like about 58 year to date, which
Wow.
in my area, that's 243 closings we've done this year to date. So we're about 200 to 215, I think, give or 220, 225 ish, somewhere in that area on that. So we don't have huge loan amounts. I mean, there are occasional $300,000-400,000 loan amounts, but I think it averages out at about 250,
Wow.
225, somewhere in that number.
Well, that's incredible production and volume to be able to put that number of transactions through the business. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a work in
So,
progress.
yeah, as it always is. So we kind of break everything down into basically like three components, like where are you getting your business from? What are the things that are working for you really well? And then we'll get into systems and processes, and then we'll get into lifestyle stuff after that.
Awesome. Sounds good.
So, where are you finding the majority of your business coming from right now in the mortgage business?
I would say majority is referral based. So either
Okay.
from past clients or from realtors. We
Okay.
do have a little bit with the Facebook advertising. I probably get about 100 leads a month doing Facebook advertising. My spend is about bringing in about $6.50 a lead.
Nice.
Um, but as you know, because you work in digital advertising, I feel like we finally figured it out over the last 60 to 90 days.
Yep.
So I think we're going to start seeing the fruit from our labor going forward, because I think the biggest thing is having the follow-up systems in place. So like I don't want to go like on a huge tangent about the Facebook advertising, because like I said, the majority of our business right now is referral based.
Yep.
But this is a new area where I mean I've worked with you in the past. We've been doing the advertising for many years, but like right now I have systems where it's doing all the automated follow up, but I have a VA who's calling every single lead a maximum of 15 times. So if he gets a hold
Wow.
of them, he's sending them into the team. But I think that's the biggest thing is to follow up, because every day he sends me a report. He's making like 150 to 200 outbound calls, and then he might only get two people that say yes, I want to take the next step, but that's two people now going into my team and then getting the application done.
Yeah, and that's two people you wouldn't have in many cases from the automated follow up on the back end.
Correct.
So that man, there's so much to unpack there because when we put our concierge department in place for following up on all of our leads, we ended up contacting double the amount of people. Like the response back from the campaigns just by adding real text messages from real people and then real phone calls. Did you see something similar with your lead generation as well?
Yeah, I mean, we had, because we use a system similar to yours, as you know, like the follow up, the CRM. I use two different CRMs, and we were getting people to respond to them. But like I had the problem with Agent Legend many years ago when I was using Agent Legend, where I was getting responses, but then I was too busy to respond back, and I was kind of dropping the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like now it's a little bit easier where people are responding um, lesser because they're getting the manual phone calls. But another thing that I did, which is kind of stalkerish, is that my lead, like my thank you page, I put a video on my thank you page congratulating them, introducing myself as the branch manager, and in the least stalkerish way saying, hey, by the way, there's a calendar below. If you can book time for your consultation, otherwise we're going to call you every day.
Right.
So we're finding, like, I go into the system and I see that there's all these self-book calendar appointments from that landing page, where the very first communication they're getting isn't, hey, I received your request. It's, hey, just thank you for booking your appointment. Just wanted to confirm the time, or in other
Yes.
words.
Yep. And that automated booking is incredible. And you touched on one thing that I think a lot of people either glaze over or have misconceptions on, is the quality of the follow-up, that people will actually shy away from that, the whole stalkerish type thing.
Yeah.
But they're about to process one of the largest transactions in their life with you. They want over communication, and they want to work with a lender that has systems and processes in place.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's all we do, is have follow up and follow up and follow up. That's where we pride ourselves. I mean, that's how I position myself with realtors. Like, I meet with them for a strategy, like to talk about a specific strategy that I might have marketed to them maybe through a Thursday text or an email. And now we're on the call, and I kind of like, show them under the hood, like what we have going on as far as our follow up. Because aside from like the internet cold traffic that's coming in, we have complete follow up systems. I call it, like, it's my coin term. It's called disposition dialing.
Oh,
So
nice.
we do have like our daily success plan where everybody has their own dispositions to dial. So no matter what status an opportunity is in, even if it's like on hold or unqualified or whatever the case is, no matter what the list is, they're getting called. It's just a matter of when, like, or how often. Is it weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly? So it's all follow up. I mean, that's, I think the biggest thing to be successful in this business is having the follow up in
Yeah,
place.
absolutely. And then again, you've touched on another super valuable topic and point here, is that you went out, you hired a VA, and all they're doing is creating appointments for you every day. They're creating wins for you. They're booking your calendar with people who want to submit mortgage applications. Can you talk to me about your process? Like, how did you find that person? Is that the only role that they're doing? What does that look like?
Yeah, so if we're talking about VA specifically, I have two VAs. I have one that does outbound dialing for all of my leads. We also just put together, we just put in place this zombie concierge service, which is what I'm calling it. And I got a list of old leads from a realtor that we're going to start firing through. Just manual calls, not text messaging. I don't want to violate any laws. Um, so, that's all he does, is he makes phone calls,
Yep.
right? Um, and then my other VA, she's more or less like, we do agent mastermind every week. She's posting that on Facebook. I have a thing called, this is really cool. Like, I'll share it here. I don't care. It's called B Day Bud. And what it does is, it's like $50 a year, and you can integrate it with Facebook and LinkedIn, and it will send everybody that you're friends with on Facebook and LinkedIn a birthday message on their birthday automatically.
Wow.
It has like merge fields. So like what she does is, that's another part of her daily success plan, is that she's managing the birthday responses. So like if somebody responds thank you or what have you, she's going to comment, or at least like plug it with a little emoji. Um, she's also like my Thursday text. I send out a Thursday text to about 800 different real estate agents.
Okay.
She's handling all the response, because I don't like, I get like, it tears me up when I get like, when I say, hey, this is a great idea, you should implement. And then they're like, stop, screw off, or whatever. And I'm like, wow, I'm just trying to help you. Okay. So I don't take that, like that, those negative responses well. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. She's handling it. And anybody that responds positively, she reaches out to right away to schedule time with me and them. Um,
Perfect.
she also does that with Agent Mastermind. Anybody that signs up, she's reaching out and signing them up on my calendar right away. But more than that, she also manages my calendar. So every day, the start of the day, she's reaching out to everybody that I have an appointment with and confirming our call to make sure that they could still make it.
Yep.
So I have somebody that's kind of like supporting me in my business, but then I also have somebody that's making the outbound calls to the leads, right? And then I have a client relations manager. I'll bring her into the conversation, because she is a part of the upfront of our process. And she's not so much like cold calling leads. What she's doing is she's responding to the automated messages in our CRM that does
Yep.
all of our outbound follow up, right? And she's also handles, like I get Facebook leads, right? But I don't really consider them a lead. They're not my definition of a lead until they've said yes, right?
Yes.
So once they say yes, we have this form that we use for all of our referral partners, for ourselves, and it's I made it through Woofu, and I've done a lot of custom integrations and had software developers develop it. But what happens is when we get a referral, our referral sources are filling that out. I'm filling it out. If I get somebody, my team members are filling it out. She also fills it out when somebody says yes in our upfront CRM. And when that form gets filled out, it automatically puts them in the Salesforce.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
it adds the lead or referral to HomeBot. It automatically notifies a Microsoft Teams channel and chat that a new lead has come in. That way somebody could jump on it right away, assuming we're in normal business hours. But what happens is that those leads go in an open status in our Salesforce CRM, right? And that list, back to the disposition dialing, if a lead is in the open status, they get called every single day for 30 calendar days.
Okay.
After 30 calendar days, they get called every single week for another 60.
Wow.
And then after that, we're at 90. Now they get called once a month from a different person. But the basis here is my client relations manager. She's helping with that because when my VA gets a hold of an internet lead or a realtor sends somebody in, at that point, she's taking over. And what she's doing is she's reaching out and trying to get them to do our online application, but over the phone with her.
Right.
Because we've really focused on converting rather than leads. We're getting a decent amount of leads, but if we could just increase our numbers on the leads that we're converting, it's going to increase our numbers, right?
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is we're positioning ourselves with the technology like Quicken, or these bigger banks, but we're not making the client navigate the entire experience on their own.
Yep.
Right. So we're doing it for them. So we're not just another big bank like that.
Absolutely. And another great takeaway from that is actually getting the application over the phone. We have so many of our clients where we're doing lead gen for them. They're getting people that are saying, hey, I'm interested. And their default response is, okay, go fill out this online app. I don't talk to anybody until they fill out my online application. Well, just getting them on the phone up front and having, not yourself, but having somebody else fill that application out with them over the phone. I mean, in the amount of actual applications you can get goes up dramatically by putting that small step in there.
It's huge. I mean, we had, as you know, I'm part of the Freedom Club and the Marketing
Yeah.
Animals, and we had an event back in a few months back in Salt Lake City, right? And that was my biggest takeaway was conversion.
Yeah.
And I came back and I implemented a lot of different processes to capitalize on that. And yeah, and not only that, we're trying to also implement, like, every time we touch a client, we're touching the realtor. So like she's letting the realtors know, like, hey, I called this person again, no answer, or hey, I called this person, and she gets the application done. And it's like there's fine lines drawn in the sand, like everybody, because I'm very big on like owners from the top down. Like I might be the branch manager, but everybody is owning their position. So like she's really excelling at it and she's doing what she needs to do, but then she hands the ball off. Like once her application is done, then she's scheduling their consultation and it's going to the next person in the process, which is our loan coordinator, right? His job is to review the application, run credit, run DU, figure out what options are available to them, prepare a total cost analysis using Mortgage Coach. And then once all that's done, he reaches out to the borrower and schedules their consultation if it already has not been scheduled. And at that point, my business partner is showing up at that determined time and kind of like going over the consultation with him. And everybody's getting a Mortgage Coach, so everything's very transparent up front.
That's incredible. And at this point in the process, like, you've put the system in place to generate the lead, but you haven't touched the lead, you haven't called the lead, you haven't talked to the lead. Your systems are doing all of this work.
Yeah, it's funny because you say that, and I talked to one of our people that are in process today because she calls me because we've had a very long friendship for many, many years. And I called my business partner. I said, hey, did you think about this? And he was like pissed off that I called him. He's like, Brad, either you're going to get involved in the loans or you're not going to get involved in the loans. Which one do you want? And I said, I don't want to be involved in the loans. He's like, well, do you think I already looked into that? And I said, yes, but I didn't know if you had this conversation with her or not. So yeah, my business partner he doesn't want to call realtors. Not that he's not good at it, but I like this better where he likes that better, you know? So yeah, I don't deal with clients at all. I spend every day, I spend time with realtors. Like I'm always looking on how we can build our business to get more referrals and leads, but I also help our business partners in the same way.
That is amazing and a phenomenal description of where many of our listeners can get to. Like if you truly take a look at your business as an ownership perspective of I'm going to own this asset, put the systems and processes in place, you can totally be removed from almost every step. And one thing that you said that was very valuable there, Brad, was that you focus on what it is that you love to do. Your partner focuses on what he loves to do. Isn't that just the perfect job?
Oh, it's great. And I'm like a total geek with this stuff too, like with the advertising and the marketing and the processes. Like I went to school for finance. So like I can jump into that role and take over, you know, like go back to doing that. Not that I would do it any better than him, but we're both, I think, on the same level with that. But I feel like that most mortgage people don't have a real value proposition for
Yep.
realtors. So I feel like if I'm constantly learning, like some people will tell you in our group, like, that's a who, get a who for that. But if I don't know how to set up a Facebook ad, or I don't know how to build out a process for follow up, if I don't know these things, then how am I going to teach realtors? How am I now? I feel like I'm needed, like I'm a resource, because they're like, hey, well, Brad showed me this. Like if I stop chatting with Brad, then he's not going to tell me the next best thing, you know?
Yep.
So it's, you know, it's big. But yeah, I mean, to go back to your initial statement, anybody could do this. It's really just kind of like giving up the wheel a little bit, you know, getting help. Like you need to get help. And for so long, like I always looked at it as like a bottom line type of thing, right? Like, oh, getting help is going to cost me, but in reality, it's costing you not getting help,
That's right.
right? Like I have a rule, I call it the 20/80. You know what that is?
No.
All right. So it's backwards. It's not the 80/20, obviously, right? And that's what most people focus. Like when they hear that, they think I'm just saying it wrong. But so it's a real simple thing. Like most people don't want to work more than 40 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
So there's exactly 2080 workable hours in a year if you take 40 and times it by 52,
Huh.
right? So that's like when I meet with realtors, that's like one of the first parts of my conversation. I say we're going to go over my 20/80 rule. How much do you want to make this year? And if they say 300,000, then I'll go, okay, 300,000 divided by 20/80 is, I think it's like 144 or something. I don't know. But I'm like, okay, how many hours during the day are you focused doing $144 an hour activities? Right.
Yes.
And if I go, okay, so are you checking your emails? Are you getting coffee? Are you uploading houses into the MLS? Are you doing this? And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they have like 180 different activities. Well, these are all $15 an hour activities. So there's no way you're going to make 300,000 if you're focused half of your day doing $15 an hour activities, right?
That is so powerful. That is, I mean, everybody listening to this podcast should stop, take a second, and do that exercise. That's incredibly valuable for the perspective because, and again, I talk to a lot of loan officers that are working way more than 40 hours a week. You know what I mean? And it's all of they're trying to do the core activities, but it's all of that minutia that adds up to all those extra hours. And being able to hire somebody at that lower rate, that mindset is just crucial.
Yeah, and a lot of people have that fear that I'm not going to be able to pay for this person. Well,
Yeah.
we can go back to VAs. You don't have to, like, I have a lot of people working stateside in my office that I pay major, like big salaries,
Yeah.
right? Or hourly rates for that matter. But like, if I was a person that's listening to this and they're doing one deal a month, even, right? Like, what does one deal translate to in mortgage commissions? It's a decent amount, right? So like,
Yep.
I think if you find somebody to help you, you're going to see massive results like right away, because you're going to immediately, even if it's at the very least, go here's a list of realtors that I'm not calling. Start calling these people and booking appointments. Here's
Yep.
my past clients, because they're probably not calling them. Start calling these people every 90 days. Like figure out a little bit of a process. Like everybody on my team has a daily success plan, but my VA even has a daily success plan. Like I have a Google Drive with a Google folder, And everything, like every time I put something comes to mind, like, hey, I want her to do this, then I add that to that Google sheet so that she can see it. And it's kind of like a checklist for her so she knows what's going on. Right.
Yep.
But you can get a VA for like $5 an hour. Like the company that I use, you got to hire a minimum of 20 hours a week, but 20 hours, $5 an hour, that comes out to $5,200 for the entire year to have somebody working in your business for 20 hours a week. Like I'm inclined to believe if you have somebody working in your, even if they're standing out, well, they can if they're virtual, right? But like whatever they're doing, find like the thing that would take them the least amount of knowledge to do, posting on your Facebook, whatever it is that they do. If they're doing that for 20 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, I'm inclined to believe that it's going to create enough transactions to pay for that person's salary or hourly.
Absolutely, 100%. And it frees up your time so that you can also do the activities that are going to bring in those loans, which is calling the past customer database, networking with realtors, going out. Now, so very quickly, so you mentioned that you've got a Thursday text that goes out to all of your realtors. Are those all people that you've worked with? Is that a qualified list? How do you approach going out and getting those realtor relationships?
Well, the texts that I send out are all warm people. So they've either referred me business, or they were a listing or a buying agent on a transaction that I did, or I've met with them before, or I have an appointment scheduled with them and we haven't met yet.
Cool.
So they all know my name. That way, when they get the text message, and there's like I want to mention this and be very clear about this in case anybody's listening decides to do this. As you know, being in the space that you're in, you have to be careful with sending text messages. And I'm not saying just the compliance part of it, because I think it's less frowned upon when you're sending a text message to another business person, like
Yep.
business to business versus business to consumer. But the thing is, you want to give them the ability to opt out, but you certainly don't want them to opt out from the phone number that you want to text them about a need for an appraisal or a mortgage update or something like that. So it took me a long time to implement this part of my daily success plan, because I needed to create a separate number for it, and I wanted it to be in Salesforce. So it's with the same provider that I'm currently using. I did it a little bit differently, but it's a number that's dedicated just to that Thursday text. So if
Yes.
they opt out, they're not opting out from me, they're opting out from that number,
Yes.
right?
That's
So, and my Thursday text is really just along the lines of, hey, this is a really cool strategy I'm using right now. It could work well in your business. Let me know if you'd like to chat about it. Or, hey, renovation loans are a great way to be competitive in this market. Like imagine showing your clients houses that nobody else is looking for. Or
yeah.
call me if you have any questions. Or here's another last example. 3 weeks ago, I sent out a text message about how I'm hiring for a business development rep. I got a ton of response. And in fact, I have a girl starting on Monday who's an absolute stud, if that's a word you can use for girls, but she works for a law firm in the city. And she was an all-state lacrosse player, and she is totally like amped up about this position because her current job is just not competitive enough for her.
Cool.
And that went for my Thursday text. So
That's amazing. Well, the more people you're connected to, when you put that stuff out, you're providing value. Like I see your marketing. You're constantly putting value out into the marketplace. Every so often, an ask is going to bring back, what you need.
yeah,
But that value first mentality that you have is just incredible.
I agree, man. It's all conversations. That's all it's about.
So we've touched on the marketing side of things and some great stuff there. I know some people are going to be listening that heard the thing about Facebook ads, and that's still a big shiny object with as difficult as Facebook is right now and that sort of thing. Can you unpack just a little bit of like what your offer is, how you're approaching it for people that are trying to make Facebook ads work? Can you give us some insights into that?
Yeah, like the actual like kind of ad that I'm running.
Well, I wouldn't say don't give away your ad copy and that sort of thing, but like how are you approaching it? Are you generating leads for your realtors and then working those leads? Are they direct mortgage leads? Are you doing product specific styles of advertising?
Now, mortgage leads, I'm really going after first-time home buyers. So, like part of my verbiage in my ad is mentioning, current renters. Like I'm going after current renters. Not to say they have to be renting, but I'm picking demographics on Facebook that's going to put my ad. It's more than likely it's going to put my ad in front of people who are renting or thinking about buying a house, right? Because I'm doing like so the way I have it worked out is I do $20 a day in ad spend for this particular ad, and I'm running it to all of New Jersey, the
Okay.
entire state. So I'm not breaking it down like segmented, so it's just in my area. It's the entire state, and I'm basically saying, hey, if you have behavior interest in this, which would be like some real estate stuff like Zillow or Realtor.com, and also have some behaviors here, which is like mortgage stuff, like mortgage loans, mortgage brokers, then put it in front of those people, right? And
Yep.
I'm getting leads at like $6.50 a piece, and I use lead pops for my funnel.
Yep.
I've used them for many years. I built my website through them. It's very affordable. And it's taking them to a lead pops funnel. It's like 15 data points of information. So as you know, like it's a more qualified lead, maybe not qualified in the sense that they can get a mortgage, but they have higher intent,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So, which I think that spend is really great. So I'm doing $600 a month, $20 a day, obviously is roughly $600 a month. And then what I also do is I run 2 or 3 ads to clients and 2 or 3 ads to realtors, and I call them my dollar per day ads.
Yep.
So it's just all retargeting stuff, right? But that's because I want people to see this face, like not that just because I want to be in front of them all the time with my stupid videos. And like my friend comes over and he's like, Brad, if I see your video with you in that hat and your jean jacket one more time, like, can't you be a little bit more professional? I'm like, well, listen, it's in your face, right? Like you're not forgetting it. So who cares what I'm wearing, right?
Yep.
Or like I went into the dentist office the one day, the girl sitting behind the counter. I have no idea who she is. She has no idea who I am. Well, maybe she does because I'm coming to the dentist office, right? Had my mask on and she goes, hey, are you the same Brad that does mortgages? Because I feel like I see your videos all the time. So
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, and I don't know if I've entirely answered your question, but basically, that's what I do. I got the first time home buyer. It's running for us, just mortgage stuff. I don't run ads for realtors. What I do is I position myself to show them. And listen, if you want to do a working meeting for the next 3 weeks where we first start with jumping into your Facebook and seeing if you have an ads account, see if you have a business manager account, and then working through the foundation first, and then we want to get your first lead running. Because I was running seller leads. Like I once in a while will run real estate type of leads just to figure it out so I can share these ideas with realtors. But like, I don't want to align myself and be their assistant, but it doesn't hurt me spending an hour and a half or 2 hours on a Zoom meeting over the next 30 days with a realtor. I'm inclined to believe that I'm going to be their go-to mortgage guy once we get done those series of meetings. So that's
Yep.
kind of what I'm doing, is I'm helping them set it up so they can pay for the spend. I don't have to pay for anything, that's, if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that's all very valuable and super helpful stuff. And we did a previous episode with Jen Conley, and Jen was talking about how she's getting success from radio. And one of the things that she mentioned in her interview was in the beginning stages, it was just a reason for her to be together with the #1 real estate agent in her town once a week to produce the show. And in the beginning, they weren't doing business together, and now they've got this incredible referral relationship. So when you talk about providing value, and it can be with anything. It can be with products that'll help them close more deals. In this particular case, it's Facebook ads, but we can talk about CRMs. There's all kinds of things you can talk about. But if you set that to an ongoing series, like, hey, here's the thing that you're going to get at the end of this, and we need to have a call every other week for 4 weeks. It's pretty easy for you to work that into a working relationship and start referring deals back and forth. That's a great way to approach that relationship building.
Yeah, man. I think it's like I said, you got to think outside of the box. And maybe if you guys are listening to this might not be your approach, but you got to find an approach and a value proposition that is different from, hey, I offer the best rates, or hey, I can close on time. Because you got to feel like you're not replaceable, right? Like I need to work with that guy or that gal because this is how they're helping me grow my business.
Absolutely. So one more question in the interest of time. And again, thank you for being so generous here today. talk a little bit about lifestyle. So you've been able to build this incredible business where you've got systems, processes. Like I really do see you as a business owner, not a business operator. Um, so what has that done for your lifestyle as far as time and money? And if we go down that path into investing and some of that cool stuff, that's cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really invest, so I'll just take that off the table right now. I mean, I
Perfect.
have my basic, like I have a guy that takes $1,000 out of my account every month and he's putting it into like ETFs right now to build it up so that he can eventually make riskier investments. But I have a who for that, but I
Perfect.
don't do a lot. And then I save money out of my paycheck, and then I have a 401k. So that's all I do with investing. I know like there was that whole GameStop play and there was Bitcoins and stuff like that. And I just don't, I feel like if I started doing that stuff, it would stress me out because the biggest investment I'm making right now is this, like my
That's
mortgage
right.
business. That's where all my energy, time, money is dedicated, right? And if I have time to sit there and follow something like GameStop, I need to be figuring out another marketing idea because I just think I'm going to get paid more on that than what that stock is going to sell for in a year or whatever the case is.
Yep.
And not to hurt anybody's feelings, it's great if you guys capitalize on that, but I'm investing in myself right now. That's my biggest investment. So that's that. As far as family goes, I really try to not work on Fridays. I do have my calendar open from 9 to 12, so I'll have some occasional meetings on Fridays just because I want to make it convenient for realtors that can't meet on Monday through Thursday, right? So I usually come in the office, work till about 12 and cut out. I try to get out of here at 5 o'clock, when when I can. And then the weekends I take off. I've really focused on my personal well-being over the last year or so. I have a little baby girl who's a year and a half. I've made a lot of changes. Like I used to smoke cigarettes. I stopped doing that in September of 19 because I'll be damned if she ever sees me smoking a cigarette. Not only
Yeah.
is it bad for me, but I don't want her to see that. Right. I've made a lot of life changes. I have a nutritionist. I don't know, I started at 243 last November. I'm at 190 as of today, probably.
Whoa.
Right. Yeah. So, and I wasn't that heavy because I'm taller, but definitely a huge difference. I hired a nutritionist and I've been on his nutrition plan. I'm still on it as of today. He's also my personal trainer. I meet with him twice a week. I go to the gym another 3 days a week outside of that. And I feel like my wife has been very, very supportive of this. Like she knows that I'm on a mission. I'm very competitive. So everything I do, I want to be the best at it.
Yep.
I still haven't gotten there with mortgages, but I'm working hard to be. But like as a dad and a husband, I think I'm doing, look, she's way better of a wife than I am a husband and way better of a mom than I am a dad, but I'm like not too far behind, right? And I'm very focused on my well-being and my health because like we were talking about before we started the call, the skateboarding thing, right? Like I have a new skateboard. Like I want to teach Lennon, that's my daughter's name. I want to teach Lennon how to skateboard when she's old enough because that was a huge passion for me.
Yep.
So I'm very active and I'm always doing things working around my house. I enjoy that, but definitely the way we've set up the business, it's allowed me to do that. Having a team, I think, because prior to the Freedom Club, I mean, I got a lot of this stuff from Carl White and his group of
Yes.
people and the people that are in the group more than ever. Like I get a lot from the coaching aspect of it, but I get even more from the camaraderie and the people that are also in the trench with you and doing the same things. So like after that's the best thing that ever happened to me, and I will touch on that really quick, is coaching. Like if you're listening to this and you're spending money and you're driving around in a nice car and you're making all this money doing mortgages, invest in yourself, take a small part of that income that you're making and get yourself a coach, because at the very least they're going to hold you accountable and they're going to help you see what you're not seeing in your business. And my life has definitely changed drastically since I hired a coach and I started implementing the team process.
That is so true. And Brad, congratulations, man, on the quitting smoking and the family focus and the weight loss and the nutrition. Like those are all huge key components. That's amazing.
Thanks, man. The smoking thing was easy. I always wanted to quit that, but I never really had a reason to, other than it's bad for you.
Yeah.
But I always been a bad kid. But no, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, talk about an accountability partner, have a kid and everything changes, so I guess, I mean, outside from the coaching, you can, have a kid. That's a good idea too.
Coach might be cheaper.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
yeah, man,
awesome.
life is great, man. I owe it to the people around me, man. Like, I've had a lot of support, coaching, and help. Like, we do a Thursday call every Thursday, a few of us, and kind of help each other outside of the group. It's just it's good to have a support network. You know, and my life has changed. My personal life is great. I feel like right now.
That is amazing. Well, in the show notes of the episode, we're going to have a link over to the Freedom Club. I myself also could not recommend that highly enough. So make sure you go check that out. Brad, thank you for being so generous with your time and sharing with us today. That was phenomenal. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chris. As always, man, it's always a pleasure catching up with you, man. And I'm honored that you invited me on here to talk.
Cool. And for all of our listeners, don't forget to head over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review so that we can get even more incredible guests like Brad. And make sure that you subscribe while you're there, and we'll see you on the next episode. Hey, it's Chris Johnstone. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. I hope that you loved it and got incredible value from it. Right now, it's time to head on over to iTunes and leave your 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. When you do, you will be entered into our monthly draw to receive an Amazon gift card. So go ahead, leave that review today. It also helps us attract top talent and really get incredible interviews lined up for you so that we can share even more value for you. Now, for the show notes and for all of the resources that were mentioned in this episode, you can head on over to loanofficerwealth.com. That's loanofficerwealth.com. You get access to all the show notes from all the episodes, all the past episodes, get notified of new episodes when they drop, and we've also got some very special bonuses for you over on that page when you opt in. So head on over and opt in today, and we look forward to sharing the next episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast with you soon.